She put on this act as if she want a relationship with us. She don't want a relationship with us. You trying to make stuff better than not.
Mama, don't do that.
Sit down.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my sacred space. My name is Lauren Victoria. I'm a mental health therapist and intuitive energy worker, and I specialize in healing and wellness through the intersection of mental health and spirituality. To learn more about my services, find the links to my website and social media platforms in the description box below. Now, in this video, I want to have a conscious conversation about the lifelong impact of toxic parenting within the Black community. Too often, Black parenting styles are synonymous with emotional neglect, boundary violations, humiliation, physical abuse. Ironically, Black people have historically associated healthy parenting habits such as effective listening, basic empathy, and respecting your child's autonomy with whiteness. And what I've definitely come to notice, not only as a Black woman myself, but also in my role as a therapist for many Black men and women, is that we were lacking a lot of healthy parental behaviors, and that impairs our ability to establish and maintain healthy, intimate relationships in our adulthood, especially when it comes to romance and dating. Now, as we have this conversation, it's really important to acknowledge systemic influences of toxic Black parenting: colonization, slavery, employer discrimination, housing discrimination, marriage outlawing, forced labor, sexual exploitation, health disparities, environmental racism, mass incarceration, the crack epidemic, right? Like, we could go for days thinking about systemic ways that really Black people have been taught over hundreds of years to internalize racism and normalize the abuse of Black bodies even within their own home. So as we talk about the weight of the emotional trauma coming from these households, I want you to remember really the generational trauma that it really reflects against our ancestors across time. That said, I want to do a little experiment before we really get started diving into these topics. I'm going to play a video, and as you can see, there is a trigger warning. If you are sensitive to the mention of verbal or physical abuse, you may want to fast forward or hit mute until the clip is finished. But for the rest of you, I want you to simply listen to the video. And if you've ever heard something similar from your parents or a friend's parents or from a grandma, auntie, or uncle, let me know in the comments. Let's see just how common these words are.
Oh, no. You don't get to have privacy and opinion in my mother house. You know why? You want to take a wild guess? Because I pay the bills in this Me. I gave birth to you, so I choose to care about you if I want to. But you have to care about me and what I feel always, because this is my mother house. You're disrespectful because you really think you have an opinion under my roof. How you feel about yourself? If I don't agree with it, it's not happening. Well, then you can get out. Y'all be spoiled. You should hear how your grandmother talked to me when I was your age. You should hear it because I'm real lenient with you. All I asked you to do is not lock any doors in my household because I pay the bills. I don't want to see you naked. I gave birth to you. I've seen everything that you've got. I'm just saying you shouldn't be locking any doors in my house because what do you need privacy for? You sneaky. I can't trust you. You really won't understand until you're an adult and you can pay your own. But for right now, do what the I'm telling you to do. You respect me. I'm the parent always. I'm the one with power. Without me, there is no you. Are we clear? Girl, you let your kids run your house? You let your kids tell you who they are? Oh, hell no. Couldn't be me. Guess what? When I was 18, 19 years old, I didn't like what my mother was telling me. So guess what? I moved out. You don't like it, then continue the pattern and get out of my house. Child, these kids be thinking that they deserve respect. You don't get respect living under my roof. You know what you should respect? The mother rules. Why should I watch you go out and I got to take care of my own house? Why would I do that? Oh, you gonna respect me? I ain't afraid to beat out of nobody. Grown or not, I'll beat your ass. Yeah, this might. You don't like to get out of my house. How you gonna tell your parents what the hell you finna do with your life? As if we didn't just give birth to you. No. I don't need to listen to no kid in my household. You do as I say.
As alarming as it is, this type of language was pretty standard in many Black households. Being belittled, dismissed, having your rights and desires and boundaries violated was just another day. And I want to dissect the root of this type of toxicity through the influence of broken families, authoritarianism, adultification, and entitled bare minimum parenting. So let's start with the impact of broken families. According to Finances Online, approximately 4 million households are being led by single Black mothers, while 1 million are being led by single Black fathers. Again, we can recognize the systemic influences in these outcomes like mass incarceration, exploited and forced labor, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at is really an epidemic of imbalance and broken households. Now, the implications of this disharmony exist on a spectrum, but I was very intrigued by a tweet by Satya Official. She says a lot of Black women grew up with single mothers and mothers who had to go 50-50 in relationships, which is why a lot of Black women believe their purpose exists in being exploited by capitalism. Working to survive is a generational curse for many women. Too many Black women are overworked, burnt out, or exhausted because they never saw a man take care of the household, so they internalized working to survive. Not having a stable male figure in your life can have you believe that your duty as a woman is to be a worker bee. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow, but I did not see one lie in that tweet. And I know that not just from my experience as a Black woman coming from a single parent household, but we can see it in the statistics. Black women have become the most educated group in America. We are entrepreneurs, we are CEOs, MDs, PhDs, JDs. We are showing up to the workforce in an effort to create the security and stability that many of us lacked growing up. And while there is nothing wrong with being an ambitious Black woman, I do think that we have become almost hyper independent from a lack of trust and representation of being able to rely on a man. And that's because when we are a part of a broken family, we automatically inherit some of the symptoms of our parents' emotional trauma. Even if your parent is doing the best that they can, what a single parent or broken family home represents is one person having to do it all by themselves, let alone the impact of having a revolving door of men or women coming in and out of the house. There are so many subconscious implications of having broken homes that really affect our ability to trust the other gender. And again, we can see this in the gender wars raging in the podcast wars, and even in the music, the misogynoir that is such a part of hip-hop culture, and the rising city girl mentality that values men only for the size of their wallets. To put it simply, the prevalence of broken homes and single parents in the Black community really does a number on our ability to trust and be intimate and vulnerable with one another. If you have any experience with this, let me know in the comments. But, I want to shift our focus and look at another toxic parenting trait in the Black community, and that is authoritarianism. Authoritarian parenting is a controlling style of parenting that values adherence to authority and obedience over the values of self-control and autonomy. It is also characterized by being highly demanding with little responsivity, meaning instead of focusing on rewarding good behavior, it only focuses on punishing misbehavior. More characteristics include little warmth or nurturing, very few to no explanation for punishments, few choices and autonomy for children, impatience, mistrust, and shame. Now, let's think. Do any of these characteristics sound familiar to you? I don't know. Maybe some phenomenon over a span of maybe 200 years where, maybe Black people were subjected to this type of treatment. Yeah, authoritarianism is largely influenced by internalized racism. And its language, much like we watched in the first clip I played in this video, the language is more suited for somebody or something you own rather than a human being that you birthed. In fact, statistics prove that Black parents tend to be considerably harsher with punishing their children, and the generational trauma in this context explains why. Toxic Black parenting methods are often a reflection of the harm and abuse Black people experienced during slavery, and that includes cruel and unusual punishment. Constantly insulting, humiliating, verbally, emotionally, or physically abusing your children. I remember how many young Black parents I grew up around, counting down the days until they could start whooping their children. Honestly, saying things like, I can't wait to spank her, or I can't wait until he's old enough for me to knock him out. To this day, it is a normal occurrence for me to go to a store and hear a Black parent calling their child stupid, dumb, cursing at them, threatening them in front of everybody. There's a zero tolerance expectation of obedience and respect. But if you dare open your mouth to share your feelings or your perspective, then you're being disrespectful. You will be hyper surveilled. Your tone will be policed. You can't talk back. You can't breathe a certain way. No wonder we can't communicate with each other today. Let's take a look at another example. I'm going to play it through first, and then I'm going to do a frame-by-frame psychological breakdown.
As soon as we walk through the door, get out.
Cause they evil.
Mama, we not evil.
Ooh.
Is this a nervous smile?
No, it's about to make me go off smile.
All right, so your other daughter, Crystal's in the audience. Crystal, how does it feel to see your sisters fighting like this with your mom?
Well, it makes me like,
Sit down.
she don't care about nothing. She put on this act. Look, you see how she put on this act as if she want a relationship with us. She don't want a relationship with us. You see, you trying to make stuff better than it not.
Mama, don't do that.
Sit down.
Why are you mad at her for standing up?
Cause she gonna talk about me.
Cause she don't like to hear the truth. And when the truth come to her, she don't want to hear it.
Your daughter's crying.
She always crying.
How are your daughters evil? I just want you to tell me, because you keep saying they're evil. How are they evil?
They
Can
is.
you explain that to me?
Cause they always got something against me. They say something bad against me.
I really want to work this, like, make it work. I didn't want to come here and
I
bash
said
you.
that
I
too.
didn't want the audience to be like, oh, she a bad person. No, you making yourself look bad. You telling
I am what I am. Gonna be what I am.
No, you're not, because you told somebody that you know that you're pushing us away.
Yeah,
You
like
literally told
and I
somebody,
told you,
know
like,
why,
you,
if you know that you're pushing us away, why continue to do
yeah.
it?
And you our only parent we got left. Like, why would you do that?
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what I find the most infuriating about the toxic Black parent archetype is there is a delusional, like psychopathic level of indignance and commitment to ignorance. It's like the way that I feel and the things that I say that I know are true. And everybody has to abide by that. It doesn't matter if you bring in books, research, doctors, counselors, lawyers. Nobody can tell me anything because I'm the parent. Therefore, I have all the power. Like, what the? It's so ignorant, and it teaches us not to think critically. When you try to tell your child that you are infallible, how do they learn to assert their own beliefs and implement boundaries in relationships? They don't. They don't. They come to me, and I have to teach them. It's just so ridiculous. Let's take a look again at this video. Let's do a play-by-play of the psychological impact.
As soon as we walk through the door, get out.
Cause they evil.
Mama, we not evil.
And we're off to a strong toxic start with insulting and shame. Of course, she calls her daughter names immediately, and names that don't reflect the actions, right? She doesn't say, well, I don't like this particular action that you do. She uses a general term to really tarnish their entire identities. Moving quickly on.
Ooh.
Is this a nervous smile?
No, it's about to make me go off smile.
Now, what would a toxic Black parenting toolbox be without threats and intimidation? Fear is a fuel that drives the toxic Black parent's assertion as powerful and dominant. And when forced into a corner, this type of parent can always use fear and intimidation as a means to escape accountability.
All right, so your other daughter, Crystal's in the audience. Crystal, how does it feel to see your sisters fighting like this with your mom?
Well, it makes me like,
Sit down.
she don't care about nothing. She put on this act. Look, you see how she put on this act as if she want a relationship with us. She don't want a relationship with us. You see, you trying to make stuff better than it not.
Mama, don't do that.
Sit down.
Now, did you notice how in the beginning of this portion, Crystal, the daughter in the audience, she stands up looking confident with a smile on her face, probably with practice, rehearsed lines, ready to communicate her feelings. And her mother, not even next to her in the audience, her mother is able to use intimidation, threats, and fear to completely shatter her daughter's confidence, to shatter her spirit, to distract her from her points and her logic. And when this behavior is standard in our early childhoods, we grow up projecting the same fear and trauma around conflict management, self-expression, and authenticity in general. I lose count of the number of Black people I work with who are afraid to tell their partners what they want, for the irrational or excessive fear of antagonizing, disrespecting, or upsetting somebody. Well, if this is how your parent talked to you and behaved when you expressed yourself, there's no wonder as to why.
Why are you mad at her for standing up?
Cause she gonna talk about me.
Because she don't like to hear the truth. And when the truth comes to her, she don't want to hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. The heart, the core of the issue. Authoritarianism parenting is usually based out of deep-rooted fears and insecurities about your own capability to parent.
Your daughter's crying.
She always cry.
How are your daughters evil? I just want you to tell me, because you keep saying they're evil. How are they evil? Can you explain that to me?
Because they always got something against me. They say something bad against me.
A perfect example of an ego so fragile that it cannot bear to be subjected to anybody else's reality, anybody else's perspective. And whether we as a community want to admit it or not, the standard of treating your children like this sets them up for abusive and manipulative relationships in the future. If I grow up under the premise that my parents never have to take accountability, never have to apologize, never have to actually meet my needs because I was raised to believe that my needs didn't matter, then I will be all the more comfortable being exploited, manipulated, mistreated by the next person. Yeah, honestly, I could go on for days talking about the impact of this type of parenting on the Black community, but I want to take a pause here because I feel like we've covered a lot. So go ahead and let this marinate. Let this marinate, and I'm going to do a part 2 where we talk about adultification and bare minimum parenting, how that impacts the Black community, especially in our love lives. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to this video. Again, my name is Lauren Victoria. I'm a mental health therapist, spiritual mentor, and intuitive energy worker. If you want to learn more about my services, you can visit thehighestpriestess.com or find me on all social media platforms at The Highest Priestess. That is THA, Highest Priestess. I will see you guys soon in another video. And as always, feel free to leave a comment and to always hit me up if you have any suggestions or requests for videos. I will see you guys soon in another one. Bye.